Good evening to the ghoulish inhabitants of the Hellbent Hollerverse. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we'll get started with the show.
Jesus Christ, God Almighty, we got 171 people in here.
Oh, Lord.
Good God Almighty.
Oh.
Everybody's bored.
5 by 5. Thank you, Sarge. Very, very nice.
He's bored. Nutslap says he will grace us with a like on the video. Thank you, Nutslap.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
My
you.
name is Jesse Doyle. I am the Supreme Emperor of the Hellbent Hollerverse. This is my partner, my cunning and plotting associate.
Cunning and plotting associate. So.
The one that keeps the wheels on. Certified grown-ass man. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Doyle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I feel the round of applause coming from all over the world right now.
Yes, you should. You should. Welcome to the show, everybody. We are lucky we made it here in one piece after the past few days we have had. And that's not a negative thing. We had an awesome past few days. When we said that we were diving right into investigation season, boy, did we ever. Mm-hmm. We dove in with both feet. And it's been a lot of fun. We'll go over some of the stuff. We'll talk about some of the things that we were up to over the past few days. I know if you are on the Discord, you've gotten to see a few of the photos that I took along the journey. But we have been absolutely... Curtis, don't hurt us.
Stop.
Just stop.
Curtis.
Stop everything.
Curtis. What? And you can't see this on StreamYard. He put a little... What is that? A little samurai cat?
That's or a fox, perhaps?
A samurai fox? That's pretty damn magnificent, whatever it is, Curtis.
Curtis.
Both for the super chat and for the...
Curtis. GGG. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Curtis.
We're going to leave that up for a minute.
And then right along with him, our buddy Okie.
Okie.
I'm
going to have to put my glasses on.
Oklahoma's probably if going by how cold it is here, Oklahoma's probably under 15 feet of snow right now.
We are currently experiencing quite a chill here at Hellbent Manor. I will say that. I had to fire up the old boilers today. So it's been quite cold.
the boilers,
yeah.
It's like we're on like an 1840 like steamer or something like that, you know.
We pretty much are.
That's
pretty much what our house is.
East.
Our house is a 1910 steamer, is what it is.
That is true. So,
so we fired up the boilers today. It's been really cold. It was freezing last night. We got quite a chill out in the woods where we were. But we have not had snow. I know that some people around us have had snow, but we have not been graced with that. I do know that when we do get snow in this region, we are in the upstate of South Carolina. It only lasts for a day. It turns quickly into ice.
And then the whole world just ends.
And nobody here knows how to drive in it. However, we've had a lot of people move here from up north. And whenever we have ice and snow like this, everybody down here just loses their ever-loving mind. They can't function. But that's the time for our Yankee transplants to shine
at that point. Keep the wheels from falling off. So
they just walk in like chests out, full of pride, and they know how to drive. They actually know how to drive.
Of course, then when it hits 120 with the heat index, then
it's over.
Yeah, they're done. They're getting rushed to the hospital.
Of course, I'm over too. So what can I say? But yeah, it has been quite cold. We're really enjoying it after all the heat that we've been experiencing. And RIP to the ticks, RIP to the chiggers.
We still did have, we're out one night. We call it some copperhead smell. Hopefully that's going to be the last night we've got.
Because we had a hard freeze last night. So RIP to the old copperheads. We're done with ye. Have a good day. Hopefully we don't have to deal with you for a long time. We are so happy for that, because places we are going into are pretty wickedly wild. They are dense. The undergrowth is insane.
Much like me, dense, and the undergrowth is insane. So
don't I know it? But we
Heyo. All right.
Let's get started with what occurred. Let's start from the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
That's the best place to begin.
It's the first rule of drama. Start small and build.
I just spit on myself when I was talking there. All right.
People out there paying good money for that sort of stuff. So
just don't spit in the
California Ryan.
California.
What's up, my man?
California.
No longer homeless, Ryan. From back in the day.
Oh, shoot.
Good to see you, buddy.
Is Ristel here?
The hell is Ristel here?
Stormy Starless. Oh, crap. Ristel is here?
Who in the hell let Ristel in this damn... That is the probably best running multi-channel joke going on YouTube right now, because no matter where I'm at, if I pop in to say hi to somebody and Ristel is there, I'm always just like, who in the hell left Ristel here? And then I fake storm out of the chat. It's great. So... And now everybody's saying hey to him. I've created a monster. Caused a little silly.
It's a man that cannot be tamed, cannot be told where he can and cannot go.
And then our buddies from the Blondes and Booze podcast. What's up? I don't know if that's Krista who we got, but hello. So we had a busy weekend.
We were in multiple states.
Multiple states. Investigation season has kicked off.
Yeah.
Like with a passion right now for us. We are actively looking into, we were in 4 different investigation areas.
Yes.
Yeah. If you follow a guy by the name of Seth Breedlove on social media, you may have seen us with the STM crew for one night.
Yep.
We linked up with them, checked out an area.
We went to an area that this definitely, if you've been a watcher of the channel for a long time and you know the Hellbent lore and you know the bingo card, we went to an area that definitely piqued our interest because it was a site of former human habitation. It was a area where there were homesteads. There was a whole functioning society. There was a whole functioning town in this area. And we're not going to give away the location, but we'll tell you the features of it because there's so many of these locations just dotted throughout the southern Appalachian region. It was a place that was a former town. It had everything from a general store to a post office, all of those amenities, and then homesteads dotted up and down the mountains around there. And like I said, there are many of these places throughout the southern Appalachian region. A lot of them come up around the railroads. And then when the railroad stops running in these areas, they wither and they die. That's one common thing that occurs with that. But we went out to this area, and it seems that in these particular areas of former human habitation, that's where you have paranormal and Bigfoot activity.
Well, and the thing with the Bigfoot activity is that's been commented upon by other people involved in this sort of stuff, that people will have Bigfoot experiences in areas where people used to be and now they're not anymore, but there's still traces of the infrastructure there. Mm-hmm. Some people will go, well, they use the abandoned buildings for shelter when they need to, and they might or might not. I have no clue on that. But some of these areas, there's no real infrastructure is left for shelter, but you just find the remnants of old chimneys, things like that. And there's a lot of times activity going on there. And we don't know why that is right now. One of the theories I have is that if these are natural creatures, well, there's a reason why somebody built a home here back in the day in the first place. Either it's adjacent to water, it's in an area that doesn't flood. Obviously, it was a good place to live once upon a time. That's why people built there. And back in the day, some thought would go into, it's not like now where you just pick a field that floods every year and you throw 500 tract homes on it. Back in the day, people would be very selective in where they built their homes at. Sometimes it was almost a community decision. People would come in and they would go, all right, well, the water is good here. It doesn't flood. They would lean on some of the elders in whatever community they were adjacent to kind of decide where to put a building at or a home at, especially. So I've often thought, all right, maybe if they're natural creatures, they're there for the same reason that people were there. Thank you for that, by the way, Alan. You're a man among men, Alan Howell. We appreciate you. We appreciate you greatly. So or if it's something more paranormal going on, well, maybe there's some residual energy there, especially if the former inhabitants maybe aren't there because of not so good reasons anymore.
Yeah.
One of the areas that we go to that's very active, there were Cherokee towns there in the day. And then the Cherokee were driven out by the European settlers. And then the European settlers, after they had been there a few generations, they were forcibly removed from the land themselves.
There's one area in particular that there was a Cherokee. It was a lower Cherokee town, right?
Sweet Jesus God.
What's happened?
Strange Backcountry with MK Ultra. Our boy gifted one Hellbent Holler membership. Guess where that membership went to?
Where?
Bristol.
Really?
Yes. You can't write stuff like this. You can't write stuff like this. Bristol was a member before anyway, but now he's got a free ride. Bonnie Blue McGee, member for 15 months. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Bonnie Blue.
Bonnie, one of the OGs with us. But
as I was saying, one of those places, this is just a little side note.
Little side note.
There were a people that inhabited that area before the Cherokee, and the Cherokee came in and wiped them out.
Oh, that's probably gone on quite a few times.
That's happened quite a few times, but there's no record or no indication of who they were.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn. You guys know about our buddy Death Wish, and he does a lot of stuff looking for.
Speaking of Death Wish, I want to thank our veterans, our Hellbender veterans, for their service. That would include our buddy Death Wish, who is pretty much the biggest stud on the planet. That's probably true. That's probably true. I want to thank our buddy Death Wish and our buddy MK Ultra for their service, and any of our other
Walter Ballard if he's on here. So,
but absolutely, thank you for your service.
Scribe, yeah, Becca Waffles. So we got a bunch. But
carry on with what you were saying.
Terry's got a good thing here. Most home sites were placed near shallow water table areas. Someone would divine the well site, and that was dug first. Then the house would be built. Yeah, they would coordinate with the people in their communities or the adjacent communities as to what's a good area. And that was one of the things they would do. Some of the old timers would come out with a couple of sticks and figure out where the water was, and that's where they
do the old do method.
What's that? The Dooster method. So
Dewey built me some of the best dowsing rods. Like, they're the Cadillacs of dowsing rods. They've smooth action. Perfect.
Gardening Dragon, a veteran. Chris Lockhart, UMC. I think MK Ultra did several years, and what is the federal penitentiary? It is completely phased on it. Somebody in here.
We call it the Brig. Is that what you call it? The
Brig. No, but what's the one they send everybody to? Our Lady Wolf is in. Our homie, what's up, Lady Wolf?
Hello, Lady Wolf.
Hope everything went well for you this weekend, and hope everything went well with the patient. But so anyway, we were out with Seth and some of the Small Town Monsters crew people checking out an area. We were with them for a while, then we kind of broke off and went kind of like in a little bit further to check it out. Weird night, very weird night. I don't want to spoil anything because obviously they'll be releasing a video on this, but there was some weird equipment problems.
Yeah.
Weird equipment problems that are kind of out of the ordinary for us on a certain.
I'm having some equipment problems here. My equipment is breaking down.
But
we also had the utmost pleasure and joy of meeting Jeff Carpenter, who is a local researcher in that area in the Western North Carolina region. Jeff was so cool. I know many of you are familiar with Jeff's work. Very cool guy. Very cool guy. We enjoyed meeting him. It was a joy. But I think the best part of meeting Jeff Carpenter was when you all had to stand around and Jeff and I had to have our dueling banjos conversation. Yeah,
so just two people from the same like mountainous region up there. It was like gathering around the Cracker Barrel. So, but it's so I don't want to spoil anything with STM. I will say this though, that both STM and Hellbent Holler all experienced some weird electrical issues in that area. STM, Small Town Monsters, experienced something strange. And then when
do you think they're going to include that?
I don't know, and that's why I'm not going to do it too much. But then we experienced the exact same damn thing.
Something that doesn't happen often.
Often to us, it doesn't happen. But they also had some camera issues that were happening. And then they had another electrical issue that we also had, which is very weird. We're all a little weirded out by that. But what's even stranger is the following night, we're in a different state. We had left out, refitted.
We also had a freak storm.
We did have a freak storm that came through, which was bananas, but we were in a different state. And when we got out, we've got a motto that we try to live by, which is take care of your equipment before you take care of yourself. And if it means you only get like 3 hours, 4 hours sleep, your equipment's ready to go in case you need it and you have to go. So we charged everything, data dumped our cameras, charged all of our batteries, cleaned everything, got everything back in working order. And then the next night we were in another area doing an investigation.
Yeah.
And we'll release the footage on this. This is ours, so we can talk about this openly. We're in Blackthorn, back into the area called Blackthorn that we've been investigating. And we are going up to the area. Everybody has always been, you need to go to the area where you heard that gunshot and those
Screams,
vocalizations, whatever you call them, bestial voices coming out of. So it's been difficult to move through parts of that area because of the snakes and how overgrown it was. Well, it was cold that night. So not cold, cooler. We still smelled some copperhead scent, but it wasn't as bad as it's been in previous months. So we go out there to check it out. And we start having problems with the equipment that we had with us the previous night when STM was having problems with some of their cameras. And it's something weird that we've never experienced before. And I don't really understand how it's even possible. We noticed it when we went to go to, well, we kind of noticed it a little bit before that. Because as the sun started to set, we've got some special cameras that we use that are really good on working in low light. And we noticed that they were coming through very fuzzy. They were having a hard time collecting light. And that's specifically why we use these. So then I'm waiting, and just like a little technical talk here for you. If you try to use a night vision camera when there's too much ambient light, everything just looks blown out and washed out. It just looks like crap. So we try not to we try to wait until it's fully dark to use that night vision camera. Well, the cameras were doing a terrible job of just collecting light. Everything looked worse than it normally would. So I'm constantly trying to wait to go to night vision, and I'm clicking it over to night vision, and then I'm going, well, this looks like crap. We can't use that. So, but the cameras are just doing a crappy job of gathering light. And I'm going, we're not in a fog. You know, there's not a haze to the air or anything like that that would cause this issue. So we finally get to the point where I can go to night vision. And the way the night vision camera works is there's an infrared light filter. It cuts out everything and it just goes to infrared light. And then I can turn on an infrared light that's invisible to us and invisible to at least some stuff out there. And then we can see we've got night vision. Voila. The infrared light was like not lighting stuff up like it normally does. And it had a full battery. Usually I've got to like really carefully kind of like adjust it so that it doesn't blow stuff out and there's not too much light. I've got it cranked all the way up and it's barely doing anything. And so I'm clicking back over to like normal light going, well, this looks like garbage. The infrared looks like garbage. So I'm thinking, all right, well, the infrared light's just not working. So I took out one of the ones that, again, I had with us the other night, but fully charged like the other one is. It's doing the exact same damn thing. It's just not lighting stuff up like it looks to. Like there's like some sort of like haze in the air. Like a fog, you know, you go to shoot a flashlight through the fog and it just doesn't travel that far. The water vapor just decreases like the limit, you know, it limits it. It doesn't go as far as it should.
The light reflects back to you from the water vapor. So
then you guys have seen my flashlight. My flashlight's a freaking lightsaber, yo. My flashlight,
mine's a filler. His
mine
is a thrower.
like shoots. Mine's a thrower for distance. I like a powerful beam.
That's
I like a strong, powerful beam.
That's what they always say about. If there's one thing we know about Joe.
I like a strong beam.
He likes a strong beam.
So my flashlight is just not lighting the world up like it normally does. It's the weirdest thing. And I'm going, what the hell? And I'm even going, it's getting darker and I'm going, is there a haze here and we can't see? But when there's a haze, my flashlight beam just lights it up. It picks up every water droplet in the air and just, you really see it. And I'm going, it's like we're in like a weird fog that we can't see with the naked eye, but anything that is emitting light or involved with light is just failing right now.
Yeah.
The camera's working fine, although we did have some battery drain later on, but flashlights didn't throw and work like they were supposed to. The infrared light didn't light stuff up the way it was supposed to. Regular cameras didn't gather light, didn't take in light like the way. It's the weirdest damn thing. And I don't know. I don't know how there could be something like that we wouldn't have visibly seen, like a haze in the air or anything like that. There's no smoke in the air. There was no fog. And I looked at Jesse at one point and I'm going, you hear occasionally about that cone of silence that people get into. And if you watch the Uwari's documentary, MK was with us. We all experienced a cone of silence. All the ambient sounds just went quiet. The stream, insects, everything like that just stopped where we were.
It was right after we had gone into the mine area and we were kind of getting out of there. And that happened right before you guys tore up that hill.
Yeah. So a couple quick things here real quick. Bonnie Blue McGee, hand warmers.
I've got some stuff
for those cold investigations. Thank you so much. Our buddy Arcane Discoveries. Lord, how long's it been since I joined a live stream? Love the new background, guys. I'm so glad to finally join the membership. Thank you for joining the memberships. Love the extra content. We've been discovering some weird things. Yeah, we still have not moved back in the podcast room. Just we've been so busy.
Yeah.
After the ceiling collapsed, so we're still shooting from here. But we need this area to set our Christmas tree up, though. So we're gonna have to find some time to relocate all this clutter.
Although you know what I could do: put the tree up and then just replace the spider web with a garland. And now, welcome to the Christmas set.
Welcome to the Christmas set. So I don't know what happened with that. It's like everything we had with us that had anything to do with light just stopped being as effective as it normally is. And like I told Jesse, I said, we've had that cone of silence. I said, it's almost like we're in like I'm going to do a bad job of explaining this. We're not in a cone where like sound is being dampened. We're in a cone where like light is being dampened.
And it wasn't just those things. It was, are we, there we go. All right. I was looking at the feed here make sure it's working. Is the feed working?
I think the feed is like working. My feed's like locking up.
We're talking about this and then the feed bounces. All right.
Yeah, we've got a little delay on which is weird.
Interesting. Right. Especially since we're talking about mechanical failure. It wasn't just those things. My headlamp was having a lot of difficulty.
Anything light involved, cameras, flashlights, IR illuminators, anything like that just didn't work worth a damn.
It was just anything that produced light. It wasn't, in the past we've had issues with camera equipment or anything like that, but it was not camera equipment like anything like that. My small camera was doing just fine.
My camera drained quicker than normal. It didn't drain like instantaneous like we've seen sometimes. It seemed like my camera was struggling and it was drawing more power than normal.
But it seemed like some sort of effect where light was not allowed to reach beyond our immediate area in a way.
It's bizarre. I don't know if there was like something that we're just we've never experienced anything like that before. Like we're like, and we've got it on camera. I mean, you can tell the cameras look crappy. You'll see the footage. And my flashlight beam like very weak. So I went through and we're ordering replacement batteries for everything to see if that's it. If maybe the batteries are just weakened now.
But what's interesting is on our next investigation that we went on in a different location, our flashlights worked fine.
Everything worked fine.
Everything was working.
Everything
at what appeared to be the right power.
Everything worked fine. So I'm going, all right, maybe we're really good about, that's one of the expenses we have doing this. That's why we use like memberships and channel like
batteries,
batteries and SD cards and crap like that.
Batteries.
And it's nowhere near time for us to do replacements on that. But I'm going to order batteries for the main flashlights, rechargeables for the headlamps. We're going to order some new camera batteries and everything like that, just to see if maybe, regardless of what it was weird. if the battery cells are losing power because of the equipment issues we suffered after the STM thing, I don't know. But I'm also putting that out there to see if anybody's ever experienced anything similar like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. If something like that was going on, it seemed like visually we should have been able to detect it. I mean, your eyes are picking up the same damn light that you're trying to emit. That's what it doesn't make sense, you know? It's not like we were in there and like everything was like gray and we were having a hard time seeing. We were seeing fine. It was dark, you know, but, you know, or I don't know. I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with like a plausible explanation or even a wacky out there explanation for it, you know? So has anybody ever experienced anything like that before? Flashlights being dim in one area and then they work better when you get out, and cameras kind of being dim and lights just not working well in another, like a particular area, and then they work better when you get out. Anybody ever experienced anything like that? Let us know, man.
So not today, Sabin says, when particles in the air freeze, hard freeze like y'all were under, it causes a halo effect where the light refracts.
Wasn't a hard freeze then. Yeah,
nope.
It was
the
just
hard
cooler.
freeze happened last night.
Yeah,
so yeah, my dude, photons are being thrown off by a million tiny mirrors.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. We were nowhere near a hard freeze.
It was cooler, but
it was cooler.
Last night was the hard freeze.
Yeah, it was before that came in.
It's hard to keep in order because we went to so many places.
Yeah. I think I was like in short sleeves that night. It's cooler, but and snakes were still out as well because we picked up copperhead scent as well. But that's the thing, is that it wasn't. We've experienced that. We've worked in fogs. We've worked in like really cold weather and everything like that.
And that impedes the thermal.
Even then, it wasn't doing like what we experienced there. It was just like we were in some sort of weird invisible haze. Makes no sense because I just don't know.
That's a great band name, though.
Invisible Haze.
Yeah, great band name.
But it's
James Davies asked, "Was there a strange smell? Maybe ozone?" No, I don't think there was
nothing like that. We picked up a couple of weird, like rotten smells a few times. But it's the forest. Things die and rot. You know, that's not always weird, but it was just very bizarre. And the fact that and that's what we're kind of like talking about the show a little bit tonight, is like that hitchhiker effect that you always hear of with paranormal stuff. There's a really good book out there called Poltergeists and Contagion. I'm butchering the title right now. I'm having a hard time remembering stuff tonight. Maybe I was mentally affected. Poltergeist Parallels and Contagion, I think is what it's called. And it talks about how Poltergeist Parallels and Contagion.
We got some good questions.
Some British parapsychologists, ghost hunters, had determined that poltergeist activity would sometimes act like a contagion, like a virus. It would follow people. It would spread from person to person. You started to hear about, you've heard about that with like supernatural, paranormal stuff, ghosts for like ever. Then you start hearing about it with the UFO community, especially around like Skinwalker Ranch, that hitchhiker effect. They experience weird stuff, then the weird stuff follows you home. You know, you have a UFO encounter, and then you start having weird stuff happen around your house. The most famous one that we always like to talk about is like one of the guys on Skinwalker Ranch had a werewolf, an upright wolf, basically show up at his house after he'd had some weird, you know, and he's in the suburbs of DC. Him and his family and his neighbors even would see like an upright wolf in his yard. And they started having balls of light float around their house and everything like that after an area that's tied in with UFO activity, but all sorts of weird activity. So this area that we were in with STM is known for Bigfoot activity.
Yeah.
And we had some weird stuff not only happen, but maybe possibly kind of follow us. I don't know. And, you know, you always hear about people talk about one of the things that I always thought was really interesting when I was still like just a pure flesh and blood Bigfoot guy.
When you were just a wee
slip of a
wee baby aper.
So Tom Powell, the guy that did The Locals, which is where a lot of people's first introduction to kind of the woo aspects of Bigfooting, he talked about how they would follow him home. And I'm always going, well, that doesn't make sense. You know, I mean, even if it's not an undiscovered ape, if it's like a relic hominid or some weird version of a caveman or something like that, the various explanations people trot forward, they're not following this dude down an interstate unseen a couple of states away to his house and then messing with him there. But they would have, people would have things like they would go into an area with Bigfoot activity, and then they would start finding feathers like on their, like, you know, behind their back door, and like pieces of rock placed on their car. Weird stuff like that would start to happen. And the assumption is that the Bigfoot activity had somehow followed them home. And that didn't make sense. And then there were people that were maybe, you know, again, even if it's like, it's not a Neanderthal, but like, let's just say some relic hominid, okay? Another species of man that's big and hairy, and it's managed to evade detection, official detection. It's not following you home. If you're like in Arkansas, it ain't following you home to Maine.
Right.
They're not putting on their freaking deerskin backpacks going, all right, boys.
Hitchhiking.
We're hitchhiking, jumping on, you know, they're not riding the rails.
I got to hitchhike to do the effect, you know.
Well, then one of the other explanations was, well, the Bigfoot has marked you somehow. And now the other Bigfoot,
like a spiritual stain, a mark of Cain.
Yeah, so they've marked you somehow. So these Bigfoots in this state have marked you. And now the local Bigfoot where you live at know you've been marked, and now they're starting to hassle you.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, if you were like marked with pheromones or something like that, I mean, I don't know. If that was the case, then why didn't the Bigfoots that were at your house mark you in the first place? Why did you have to get marked over here? None of it made sense.
And have you mentioned the skinwalkers at the Pentagon case that occurred? Did you mention that yet?
About
I was in the chat.
About the werewolf?
About the werewolf.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah.
Sorry, I was in
Pay
here.
attention. Pork Chop.
Pay attention. Keep up.
Pork Chop Express, one of our holler ballers. He's like one of the OGs.
He's one of the OGs.
I think Pork Chop signed up for the memberships the night we launched him in the LBL on that live stream. And he stuck with us through thick and thin.
Yeah, I think he did. Because we launched it Halloween 2 years ago. So
that's a loyal MFer. That's all I'm saying about that. Yeah. It's a loyal MFer. But
provides us with shillelaghs.
So he gave us some awesome shillelaghs too. I love those damn things. But my thing is this: so people were going out to look for Bigfoot, having encounters with what they thought was Bigfoot, leaving that area with Bigfoot activity, going back to their homes, sometimes several states away, and then weird activity would start up around their homes. Okay. And you could dress it up however you want to. I think you can rule out the Bigfoots followed you several states away. Not if they're just purely physical creatures. Maybe they marked you somehow, and that mark riled up the local Bigfoots. I don't know. But usually the activity that people would report and they would attribute to Bigfoot, well, people would have the same sort of activity in paranormal cases with other stuff. A lot of the stuff that people would attribute to the Bigfoot following you home after a Bigfoot encounter or going on a Bigfoot investigation, it's stuff that ties into like hauntings sometimes. Yeah. Objects are moved. You hear weird disembodied sounds. You catch weird smells that have no, well, I mean, it's like, that's some Amityville horror stuff right there, man.
And I've got a perspective from our friends across the pond in the UK. Nicola Dolby says, "Hi everyone. The hitchhiker effect is a serious thing in the paranormal community in the UK. Doing an investigation can be really challenging." I know that when I watch paranormal shows that are based in the UK, they're very concerned about that. They're very concerned about ridding themselves of that energy before they return home.
Not Zach Bagans. He fights the ghosts.
Well, he's not in the UK. He's in Las Vegas. A Vegas man cares not.
A Vegas man cares not. But,
but that's something that it seems like it's a priority with paranormal investigators that are based in that area, that they are aware of this effect and it really affects them. It's something that they take precautions against, when it seems like a lot of American investigators just throw caution to the wind and think if they step outside a door that they're completely safe from everything.
Well, but my thing is
everything is contained within these four walls. And I think it's, this attitude that it's just a ride, it's just a LARP, it's just a game in a way, that I go into the space and that it's an insulated space, and then once I step outside that door, I'm fine. But that's just not the case.
Well, and my thing is this, is that kind of makes sense with paranormal investigations, that there's like an unseen force there that doesn't really operate the way that we expect the physical universe to operate. Mm-hmm. And it's there doing stuff. It's setting off electromagnetic sensitive equipment. It's doing ghost stuff, man. Knock 3 times if you're there. Bang, bang, bang. Doing ghost stuff.
That's mocking the Trinity.
That is mocking the Trinity. But that makes sense if something like that could latch onto you and follow you from place to place. It's already acting in a way that doesn't conform to our normal understanding of like physical reality. UFO stuff, that makes sense in a way. We don't know what the hell UFOs are. They're weird. They don't seem to behave in a manner that is consistent with everything else out there. But when it ties in with the Bigfoot stuff, that's what's really, really weird. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you take a pure flesh and blood approach to the Bigfoot phenomenon, that they will sometimes follow you home thing doesn't make sense no matter how you spin it. Yeah. Well, they marked you with pheromones. All right. Maybe.
Some stink you can't wash off.
But they followed you home. Now the other Bigfoot around you, you stand out to them. And I'm going, all right, well, maybe, I don't know.
Miranda Cruz, she's been on board for 24 months. Miranda is one of our OGs as well.
A couple other people here. Julie Bug left for a month and they came back. All the OGs are here tonight. So, Alan, damn, we got tons of people that have not gotten bored with us yet. But my point is, and I guess I'm struggling with it right now to explaining it because I'm struggling processing it. The dampening thing, the dampening effect on our flashlights and cameras and light sources has baffled me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is something that followed us from when we were with Small Town Monsters, or if that's something new that's now expressing itself in Blackthorn. We've been through Blackthorn all the time. We're still experiencing new stuff there. That's not outside.
We've never had that sort of phenomena occur. And this was the day after. This is literally the day after.
We had electrical issues with STM. One pretty dramatic one.
Very dramatic, yeah.
And then we have
a repeated,
even weirder, evolved issues later. And that just doesn't make sense to me and how that would tie in with Bigfoot stuff. Mm-hmm. Even if you take some medium level weirdness explanations for Bigfoot.
Right.
Okay. I don't think that like crypto-terrestrial type stuff is necessarily that out of the realm of possibility. Things that are just here and they've evolved here, but they are underground or they just have the ability to stay hidden, whatever, that makes sense. But at the same token, you're still dealing with something that appears to be physical. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a bipedal something. And how is that having the effect that people will report? And again, the way people explain these post-Bigfoot weird high strangeness encounters is that the Bigfoot has followed them, or the Bigfoot that are normally live in their area are now tuned into them and they're doing stuff. Bigfoot are sneaking up to their back door and putting like feathers, in strange patterns. They are rapping on the sides of their house. They're walking on their roof. They're doing all of this stuff. And it's presented in a manner that physical Bigfoot have come out of the woods nearby them, come to their homes, done this stuff, and then retreat back without being seen. And that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense. But we've experienced stuff like that. Other people have experienced stuff like that. And it's been forever since I've read The Locals by Tom Powell, but he talks about certain stuff in there. The feather one is the one that always
sticks out to you.
Sticks out to me because it just seems so nonsensical, but it happened. But unless it's something else that's tagging on to you, and we keep going back to that thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, that maybe whatever Bigfoot is, it kind of straddles the line between our world and somewhere else. And maybe that makes them more likely to attract pure paranormal stuff and maybe pick up hitchhikers themselves. And maybe just the sheer act of being in the presence or in proximity to these creatures, you're experiencing heightened levels of weird stuff because the Bigfoot is attracting the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the Bigfoot's not causing the orbs. Maybe that's a completely separate phenomenon that's just getting either heightened, strengthened, or attracted by the presence of Sasquatch. Or there's something in that area that's drawing in the Bigfoot and it's drawing in the other weird stuff. Maybe they are completely unrelated and they have nothing to do with each other. They're just drawn for the same unknown reason to one particular area. And then you're there and something latches onto you.
And it's all just
something latches onto you.
Everything lines up. Sheila Ebeling is here, by the way.
Sheila, the patron saint. Speaking of OGs.
That's the OG of OGs.
That is the OG.
She was a member before we had membership.
She basically was. So
she was.
That's the other thing too. Nutslap's got a good thing. If Bigfoot wants to stay elusive, why would he follow? Well, here's the deal. If he wants to stay elusive, why would you ever see it? Is it just clumsy every once in a while? And this is what I always.
And also, is that an active choice? Is being elusive to human beings, is that an active choice?
Whenever I start talking about weird stuff with this and somebody just goes, somebody who's like a normal Bigfooter just goes, it doesn't make sense. I go, none of this makes sense.
This whole courtroom is
why
out of
are
order.
you choosing this particular hill to die on? Nutslap's got a great point. If these things are so physically capable and they're always one step ahead, we should never see them at all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We should never see them at all. People, no matter how much of a ninja you think you are loud and clumsy and very detectable, especially in the woods at night. Okay. You can see them, hear them, smell them, everything like that. Humans are not staying hidden from anything out there that's this capable of avoiding detection and staying hidden. Why do we ever, I don't understand roadside crossing sightings. And we're kind of diverging here. So what? It's just, he was just a little too slow that day.
He doesn't see a car coming.
We're attributing.
Okay.
We're attributing.
Because he doesn't have a dumb deer brain.
Yeah,
you know, like the deer have like rat brains. Rats are smarter than deer.
In one hand, Bigfoot are everywhere. They're seen everywhere all the time. And then on the other hand, they're nowhere. Okay. It's just this weird dichotomy that none of it makes sense. You hear about these things displaying like blinding speed and well, they're the masters of camouflage. And when you go, why isn't one in a cage somewhere? People trot out all of these explanations as to, well, they're so fast. They're so attuned with their environment. And I'm not saying those are things that aren't true.
Terry McCullough here says, but why would something that is supposed to be super elusive do things to make you look for it?
Yeah. Why would it ever be seen?
And you've got like this instance of this feather, placing this feather. If you are trying to be elusive completely, why is this connection being made that you're now interacting in such a way?
Why? And again, it's, well, you know, I do want to preface this by saying this. You're dealing with something that you don't really share any cultural commonalities with. Maybe it makes perfect sense.
So
you
don't, and you can't apply human values, morals, logic, motivations to them. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but my same token though, it comes down to this. They're trying, no matter what Bigfoot is, there is an active effort to avoid official recognition. Okay. There is an active, you don't see one walking down Main Street at 5 p.m.
Right.
Okay. But at the same token too, you don't hear about one getting hit by like a semi. If it's crossing the road, where's the one that just slips? Where's the one that just trips?
We got to put more banana peels out there.
Exactly. That's why we're coming to you with the Banana Peel Initiative. We want to put.
It's quite an appeal.
I think we should just end the show on that note right there. Good God Almighty.
It's an appeal to make you go bananas.
So,
I got more.
Brandon
I
Crew.
can go all night.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh,
help to buy hot coffee when you're out. Thank you, Brandon.
I've got a ton of stuff marked, but we do have to promote something.
The camp out?
Yes.
Oh, we will in a minute. Yeah, but
I just want to let you know. I know.
let me finish this very clumsy, meandering train of thought here. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. What we're talking about tonight doesn't make sense. Whatever you think Bigfoot is, it's an undiscovered ape. It's a relic hominid. It's another species of human that's just more in touch where we went for technology. It tried to become more and more in touch with nature. And when it's in its element, it's very elusive.
It evolved differently.
No matter what explanation you have for what these things are, it still doesn't make sense. When you look at the Bigfoot phenomenon in totality, it doesn't make sense. And then you add in this weirder stuff, which is just there, whether you want it to be or not, no matter how normal you think Bigfoot is, the weird stuff's there. That makes even less sense. None of this makes any damn sense. That's why when people are just like, when I go, well, let me back you up here. I'm like 99% certain Bigfoot is real.
Right.
Well, why aren't you 100%? Well, because it doesn't make sense. And there's a chance we're all just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't make sense. And Nutslap is the voice of reason in the room.
I was about to say that the percentage is pretty high.
So Nutslap is the voice of reason in the room. Why is something that's so damn elusive doing stuff like this? It would be people are only out in the woods investigating for short periods of time.
And they're in very small areas, relative, speaking in terms of relevant size of these areas they go into. Even us, like we do a lot of very thorough investigating. We try to really comb through stuff. We're very thorough with what we do. And we still only see a fraction of these wilderness areas.
Well, and here's the deal. If something is so physically capable, the thing that gets me too is that doesn't make sense is that sometimes you'll hear movement paralleling you. Okay. And then other times you'll see or hear something and you don't hear it move off. Why is it making noise sometimes? And other times it's not. None of this makes sense. None of this behaves like an undiscovered species. None of this stuff makes sense. How do you go into an area where things that basically look like large apes or hairy giant people are existing, and then you have the other weird stuff happen too, the equipment issues? How does some of that weird stuff follow you afterwards? Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with the big monkeys? Okay. Yeah. How is that tied in?
And what is that mechanism there?
And if they're not tied in, why are they at the same place at the same time? What the hell's going on with that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay, you were in the woods hiding from me when I was out there with a camera, but now you're at my house leaving feathers in my back door. Well, maybe it's not the Bigfoot. Maybe it's something else entirely. You're now dealing with something that, if it does follow you home and it's the Bigfoot, you're dealing with something that can evade all efforts to basically officially prove, That's the thing, is if this thing's being seen as often as it is, especially with these roadside crossings, somebody could bag one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Somebody could bag one, bring it in. And yeah, there might be an attempted cover up, but you'd hear of that more often. It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense when you really take a step back from it and you look at it all objectively. No matter what explanation people trot out, I gotta take my contact out. It's drying out of me here. It just, none of it makes sense, man. And that's where I get at, I guess that's where it gets so confusing sometimes, is that, beyond just the equipment issues and beyond what feel like sometimes conscious efforts to like mess with you and stymie you and everything like that, it's the fact that sometimes when you really try to rationally think about this, you can't put irrational thought on an irrational subject. It's driving me freaking bananas. It's driving me crazy. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. And I know that people, and I think that's what happens with the Bigfoot community sometimes, is people bring out these explanations that are done up and tied up with a neat bow. And I think that's for their own sanity sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because,
well, you see why. I mean, look at you.
Yeah, no, people need an explanation. But here's the deal. You can't shoehorn an explanation that doesn't work here just for your own comfort. And that's where I'm at with it, is that, what the hell, man? What the hell's going on? there's either something out here that none of us have really come up with a plausible explanation for, that whatever's going on out here, and you can just throw all weird stuff into it. It's all weirder than what any of us guess, or we're all just crazy, man. But still, me being crazy doesn't, I can be a little bit of both. I can just be completely bat crap crazy, and that's not going to affect my camera. Okay. What the hell's up with that? You know?
And if you have another party there too, you're not hallucinating or anything like that. This is something that's actually happening. You have somebody that sees it's also happening, experiencing the same thing. So you can't write it off as you being crazy. We have a lot of great stuff from the chat.
Well, I want to finish with this, is that again, but you do come down to this. It doesn't have to make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to make sense to you. Okay. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody out there.
I don't think it's ever going to make sense.
It just is.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that that's what's, if this is something, if there's like a greater overarching phenomenon, not all mysteries are always going to get solved. Okay. Not all mysteries are going to get solved. It's one of my favorite things that I think I like to think of nowadays. We might just not have the brain meat necessary to comprehend or solve some of this stuff. And I think that's what we're running up against right now, is that we're running up against stuff that if you get down to the very end of it, we're so limited by our senses, by our imagination, by everything like that. There are things out there in this universe that exist that are beyond our capacity to understand. Okay. You hear about this with like the search for alien life, that people go, alien life might be all around us. We might just not have the capacity to recognize it. Okay. It may not have the capacity to recognize us. You know what I'm saying? Maybe their form of life is, everybody always forgets that alien doesn't just necessarily mean from another place. Sometimes alien means incomprehensible. It's alien to me. I can't comprehend it. And I think that's what we're running up against out here. And I think that people just come up with these pet theories in order for their own sanity, to kind of make sense of some of this stuff. And my pet theory is different than your pet theory. Therefore, you're a hoaxer and a liar, and I'm the one telling the truth here, you know? And I guess that's where I feel like we're just the odd people out in this thing, because everybody always has like explanations and
well, don't you know, it's because this, and this.
And I'm just standing here going, none of this makes sense, man. None of this makes sense.
And show your work.
Yeah, this is all just Reverend PCM perplexed like the city boy. None of this makes sense, man. Unless
and
you
Lady Wolf
get
says you're making yourself crazy trying to apply logic to something
illogical. But here's the deal. That's where I'm going to. Lady Wolf, me and Lady Wolf on the same, vibing on the same frequency.
Vibing.
The only thing you do then is, the only thing that makes sense is if you go, whatever is happening out here is so outside of like my
your
normal
comprehension,
my normal paradigm,
your understanding.
But guess what then? That rules out big undiscovered monkey. That rules out, well, they're intelligent like people, you know. No, what you're dealing with then is you're dealing with something that's so outside of the ordinary to everything else we recognize and know on this planet.
Yeah.
You're dealing with something that is completely different than everything else. It can do things that no other creature on earth can do. Okay. It's an other. It's the other. It's something else other than the rest of the recognized world.
And the quicker we accept that,
yeah.
I think the easier a lot of things are going to get, because you can stop spinning your wheels at that point and just kind of accept what happens. And maybe more things, you'll notice more things, you'll experience more things if you're not fighting against the tide of what's actually going on around you.
And not today's got a thing, just a thought. Have y'all ever been so caught up in intrusive thoughts or a really good taco that you completely zone out as to what's going around you? Yeah, absolutely.
There are times when you're driving down the road and you're like, who's been driving this car for the past 30 minutes?
And guess what, though? If there was a nationwide effort to put me in a cage, they'd do it. You know what I'm saying? They'd get me. They'd get me in a cage. They would do it. I'm going to go prove that Joe is out there running around. It'd be a very easy thing to prove. Because I do get lost in intrusive thoughts sometimes. But again, when you get right down to it, you're in the grand scheme of things, you're dealing with a creature that, why does it only make minor errors and not big errors? I always say this, where's the clumsy ones? Where's the stupid ones? Where's the ones who like to take risks and just miscalculated one time? Oh, I'm going to give this dude a roadside crossing. Oh, hell, now I've been hit by an 18-wheeler and I'm plastered all. Where are those? Where are those? If it's,
I think it just dabbles in incompetency, you know.
but
just,
I mean, you're dealing with like a hive mind like intelligence here. You're not dealing with a lot of individualism there. Individualism is what
there's no punk rock Bigfoots.
There's no punk rock Bigfoots.
Yeah.
So it's all right. Bring us some crap we got in the chat.
Goblin Wart says these are some grown ass questions. These are certainly grown ass queries we have here. We're gonna go into the chat.
We know that there's a level of like weirdness and high strangeness to this stuff. But what sparked us again is the battery and equipment issues that we were experiencing with Small Town Monsters. That then we had, and the thing that happened with Small Town Monsters is an electrical and equipment issue that's never happened to us before.
No.
But it happened in 2 instances.
And also the fact that it was 2 independent things that had the same thing occur.
Very weird.
You know.
And then we all of a sudden the next night, a couple states later over, have another weird thing that's never happened to us before. And we had this moment of like,
is there some sort of ripple effect here?
What the hell are we dealing with here?
You know.
And is this same thing that was messing with us a few states over? How the hell is that possible? Did it just latch onto us and follow us? You're dealing with like a level of intelligence that's got a lot of friggin' time on its hands to just mess with just 2
inconsequential
people.
creatures.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? Are you that bored in life or unlife or whatever the hell your existence? Are you that bored that this is how you?
I don't think you should judge Bigfoot's use of time.
Or is that a method of communication?
Is that
I'm trying to communicate with you?
What if there is something that it gains from your noticing it?
Possible. But then here's the deal. No creature on earth, no flesh and blood creature exists like that.
No.
So now you're the only way to explain this.
Except women.
That's true. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? You completely shot the theory out with just that one little thing.
No.
And I know this is like a weird topic, but it's a weird topic. The whole damn thing's weird. I don't know. I want to see what other people think, man. Yeah, you can go, it's unknowable. But at that point, woo's on the table, boys. You know what I'm saying? You know, at that point, you have to admit.
Woo's back on the menu?
Woo's back on the menu, boys. So, all right. All you got on here.
A lot of stuff marked. You go to the things that are marked, you fool. Get your rants ready.
My rant's ready.
I'm not done going through the main chat yet. The chat's popping. Chat's fire.
Sarge goes, examining the evidence without curating it to your pet theory tends towards Bigfoot being more than a monkey in the woods. That's the thing that always gets me, is that even some people who are real straight-laced, traditional Bigfooters, you know, they carry the plaster, you know, they got the little bats to bang on the trees with and everything like that. Even they, in hushed tones and private conversations, will admit to experiencing weird stuff.
Sometimes you got to kind of work it out of them.
But and I was thinking about that the other day, is that there's no Bigfoot community. And we've talked about that. There's no Bigfoot overarching.
It's definitely not a monolith whatsoever.
It's not monolithic. There's a multitude of smaller communities that are
factions
kind of put under that umbrella. And
often warring factions.
And, you know, we're all over the damn place tonight. But
it's all right.
That's part of the reason why you have to avoid entanglements with established groups, because then you're pressured into a group think, and you're pressured into basically a dogma.
As an individual, say you have some dissenting ideas, you know, we as people, we want to be a part of a group. We want that in-group status. I mean, we have a group here, you know, as Hellbenders. Yeah, we've got a club, we've got a group, it's in-group, but with most groups, there is this desire for a uniformity in thought.
But what we have a group of, the defining feature with all of our folks is
mental illness.
Goes without saying.
But also
is this thing of just kind of like what I'm doing. Everybody's open to it. Everybody has their pet theories, but they don't get because those people that get incensed if somebody doesn't agree with their pet theory, they don't stick around with us for very long.
Yeah. And I also like that, you know, it seems like a lot of people in this group, and us included, that we can argue from a position that we don't hold. just to explore that option.
Yeah.
That you can kind of take an opposing view from what you actually believe and really explore
Thought
that.
experiments, man. We
And
like doing them all the
but
time.
you have to have that open dialogue,
Old Henry, remember, for 16 months?
Old Henry.
Old Henry. Thank you, my man. But the thing is that even those straight-laced traditional Bigfoot people will in hushed tones admit to weirder stuff, but they don't want to talk about it publicly because of the cultural pressure from their own individual group at that point. That's not how citizen science is supposed to work. Okay. You shouldn't be worried about talking about your thoughts and theories because the guy at the next desk over is going to like start to insult you because of it. But that's what happens a lot.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle with, is that if we're not all crazy and we're not all practicing massive feats of self-deception in this, and we're not all victims of just insanely bad timing with this stuff sometimes.
Save that for your personal lives.
Yes. It's more than just a big ape. There's something weirder. And people don't like hearing that because generally that's followed by Bigfoot is this. It's from Zeta Reticuli. They come down in spaceships. They walk around my backyard. They've told me the truth. I'm the only one that knows the truth. I can say that doesn't make sense, but I still don't know what the hell's going on. I still don't know what the hell's going on. I'm gonna tell you, my personal thing right now is that I don't think Bigfoot's as common as what a lot of people think it is. I think that outdoor paranormal phenomenon is much more rampant than a lot of people think it is. And when people are experiencing paranormal activity in the woods, they misattribute it to Bigfoot because that's how they're wired. We're all culturally wired to think that weird crap in the woods, it always goes to Bigfoot. Like the hitchhiker thing. Maybe people who experience the hitchhiker stuff from out of the woods were never dealing with Bigfoot in the first place.
Yeah.
Let's just call it ghosts, just to simplify it. Spirits, they can sometimes physically manifest into shapes and figures that you can see. Usually it's the guy in the Civil War uniform or the little girl in like Victorian era clothing that's in your hallway. Oh, that's little Nancy. She died of consumption in 1832. Maybe it has the ability to present itself in a different manner sometimes. Maybe it's back to that Mothman thing that we keep circling back to. What do you look like? Well, it depends on who's looking at me.
Ugh, that always weirds me out so bad.
But it's because none of this, it struck me this weekend. You can sit here and talk about it and you can know it, but then you still have these epiphanies where you just stand there and you just go, what the hell am I doing? None of this makes sense. And that's the moments where I get discouraged going, we're out there after that smoking gun. We want to try to get that smoking gun footage. Maybe we'll never get it. Maybe no one will ever get it. Maybe 3,000 years from now, our descendants will be sitting around doing the exact same stuff. Maybe we'll have like technology that puts us on the level of like pure gods, and we're still experiencing weird, random, minor stuff that we can't explain at that point. I don't know. So Richard Sharp, is your equipment at home still acting up? We have weird little things every once in a while. We don't ever really have internet problems like freezing and stuff like that unless we're doing a live stream.
Yeah.
We had weather events that knocked out everything in the town in the past, but as far as like that goes, we do a lot of stuff online by virtue of what we do. And the equipment we had out that night, I think, is working okay again. I don't know. I mean, I'm getting new batteries in. I'll see if it's a battery issue.
I mean, I used a flashlight last night because we were in another location last night. We're scouting out. That we forgot to talk about that. I'll just mention that on the side. We're scouting at a really cool location for our first big documentary of 2026. And I found a really cool old cemetery. I was taking some photographs out there, and my flashlight was performing just as it always has. It didn't have any problems like I experienced the day before at all, because I was out there taking photographs and it was fine.
Right. So here's the other thing too, that when you've really got to step outside yourself and look at this. Weird equipment issues and battery problems with Small Town Monsters that night. The next night, states away, another weird problem we've never had before. if it's not like related, like what are the odds to like run into two previously unexperienced things 2 nights in a row and they're unrelated? I mean, now keep in mind, we physically go out looking for this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'll have people sometimes go, well, I don't believe anybody who's had a multitude of weird experiences in their life. The chances of that happening are so rare. And I'm going, is it? You know, some people attract this stuff in more. Sometimes just the act of going out and looking for it lets it mess with you sometimes. HG's got a good question.
I got another one from HG that is a shots fired, and I love it. So if you want to start with that question, and then I'm going to throw this up afterwards.
Have you ever had family members or friends have paranormal experiences after being in contact with you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but we don't really have,
we don't have a lot of contact.
We don't have a lot of contact outside of this. I was going to say.
Yeah, we don't really.
I mean, when we get done with this, we're going to eat and go to bed. And when I get home from work tomorrow, we're not doing a live stream. I have like hours of equipment stuff.
And then I'm going to be at work.
We don't really
for the next
have a social
days.
life. So
no, we don't like go out with friends or go out and
so I
don't really have.
I don't know.
You guys.
Yeah, I mean, we interact with y'all, and guess what?
We just work so much. We don't really spend time with other people other than each other.
We did have the famous live stream where we were experiencing stuff in the field, and y'all started experiencing stuff at home on the devices you were trying to watch. People started having electrical issues. That was some Uri Geller type stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Uri Geller bending the spoon in a studio in Tokyo, and people all around the world having spoons bend just by watching them. That's happened. So that completely cleared up the possibility that stuff's real for me, at least.
That's that contagion. I want to throw this up here. Are you ready for some shots fired, my man?
Yeah,
and you're going to love it.
What is it?
I don't want to judge, but pure flesh and blooders sometimes come across as intellectually dishonest.
Well, we'll fire these shots. We'll send up another volley. There's and maybe some of it is justified, but a lot of pure flesh and blood people will go, well, this woo, you can't talk about this woo stuff, this crazy stuff. That's why science doesn't take us seriously. And I'm like, science doesn't take us seriously because it's not a serious topic for them.
I'm going to come from my drag queen angle and say, your outfit is why they don't take us seriously.
Well, it's because it doesn't behave. And a biologist is going to look at the topic of Bigfoot and go, unless they've had their own experience, but biologists know how biology works.
Yeah.
Especially like wildlife biologists, they know how life exists and behaves in the wilderness. Okay. And they go, we don't see signs of Bigfoot here. So therefore it doesn't exist because we know what impact a creature or a species has upon the environment.
And you've come from, from institutionalized training too. You've been trained in.
Well, you're trained in that manner because it works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't believe in Bigfoot because if it was just a large monkey in numbers enough to keep a viable breeding population up, you could go into an area because a wildlife biologist can go into an area and tell you what's there just by looking at the impact on the area.
Yeah.
Well, this particular plant is being eaten here. That means that such and such creature has to live here at this point.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a thing saying that that's why they exist in areas with black bears, because they're able to stay under the radar because people see that mark. But anyway, the reason why scientists don't take it seriously because it doesn't conform to the rules of the science that they understand. So, and if it's not conforming to the rules of the science that they understand, that means that something outside of our scientific, not like understanding is happening here, which is what we're saying. Something's going on here that doesn't act like the rest of the world acts. And if it is a big monkey, that's the weirdest big monkey. That's a big monkey that can do things that no other creature on earth can do.
And as a scientist, when new data is presented to you, you need to take that into account.
Yeah. So Daniel Hamilton, I am the number 2 episode on the Cryptid podcast. Great job, Joe.
Always number 2.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate that.
I got some stuff marked if you're going to go.
Ventus says, anybody else notice the timing of the glitching of the stream?
I thought that was interesting. I don't know when it's glitching, but
I don't know when it's glitching.
There might be a significant part in which it's happening.
But Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus.
One of the OGs right here. Hi, Joe and Jesse. First off, thank you for that, Marcus. Do you guys have any opinions on the Glimmerman phenomenon? We saw in the mountains of North Carolina what it looked like was somebody had done the outline of a person and saran wrap.
There was water rolling down and beating.
It's like a light rain, and the only reason we saw it is the water was hitting it and kind of going down it. And that's how I described it, is that if somebody had somehow made a shape of a human figure out of saran wrap, you probably wouldn't notice it just glancing at it. But because the water was hitting it with this light rain, we were able to see it. But then by the time we got up to it, it was gone.
Yeah. That was pretty early on.
That was pretty early
but
on.
That was one of the places I was insanely terrified. It's a very dark, mysterious, mystical place. But there is this feeling of fear, like an ancient predator is coming upon you out there. And I don't know how else to describe that, but we're out there and it feels like there's something very visceral and there's this genetic memory of something that is coming after you in a way out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcus. And then Ventus has got a good one here. Energy beings that take the shape of scary things to feed off your fear in the forest is old folklore. Fae especially. Example, 2012 onward, people started seeing Slender Man everywhere. They did. And you can go, well, that's just creepypasta. They're getting that idea off the internet. Well, they may have. And then something may have used that idea and that knowledge to manifest to them in a certain way. So the Small Town Monsters just did that Wendigo documentary. And a couple like people have like whined that one of the witness descriptions, like the witness reports, they reported
is not totally in line with the traditional Native American lore.
The Wendigo, which is like the skeletal deer head and the antlers and everything like that, that's a modern invention. Okay. Relatively modern, like early 1900s, but that's not what the lore, the Native American lore doesn't describe it that way. There's really no mention of, like a Wendigo being a skeletal deer head with antlers. And then when people report seeing stuff like that, and we'll bypass our personal, like the accounts we personally heard about people seeing skinny Bigfoot with deer and elk antlers strapped to their heads. You're dealing with something that like obviously has a certain malleability. It has a certain like fluidness of form. Okay. There's not a population of Wendigo out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, breeding and running around and crapping under bushes and everything like that. That's something paranormal. And when people just get their panties up in a bunch, I understand what the native lore looks like. Usually just the Wendigo was like a varying heights, but usually sometimes it's very, very tall, cadaverous, like human being. Okay. It generally looked like somebody who had starved and had basically like experienced, you know, the ravages of winter. But whatever is expressing itself, it's stuck in that.
Whatever. These people are seeing something take a form. You know, what they're seeing, they're describing what they're seeing. And I think, you know, a lot of that pushback, which I understand that you don't want people, if somebody's making up a story and they're going in this direction with it, I understand the frustration with that and trying to defend Native American lore, but at the same time, you can't dictate what other people are experiencing. And you can't just, and I don't think it's coming from a good place. I think a lot of that comes from this desire to, because you have a lot of ineffective people who are seeking moral superiority.
They want to control the narrative. They want to control the language. They want to control people.
Yes.
And that's fine. But I'm just saying that you'll have people that have no problem at all sitting there and spouting out all of these like John Keel type cases, Mothman, stuff like that. Things that literally
change form
at will But then if somebody
But
mentions
you can't apply it to this.
you can't apply it to this, it's just if this stuff is true, everything, all bets are off. Anything is possible at that point. So,
and also you got to think about that language thing that people are applying what they are culturally familiar with. That's the approximation to what they're just. So they're describing what they see.
My least favorite thing is werewolf. When people see a Dogman creature and they call it a werewolf,
and people get upset.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it didn't change forms. You know what? Shut the hell up. They have seen werewolves in movies. They saw something that looks like that. They're
like not on your Facebook group talking about Dogmans.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the lady who used the terminology Wolfman recently. And I'm like, well, usually we hear werewolf.
Yeah, I don't think we got Lon Chaney out there.
Yeah, no, it's just that's
with pubes.
That's the terminology that she had for what she experienced.
Yes.
You experience something out of the ordinary.
The closest approximation to what they're witnessing. That's the language they have for it.
Yeah.
And if just because they're not as educated as you in these niche subjects.
Brian Corbin, member for 18 months. And then Brian follows it up with, not all wildlife biologists are good at their job. No, they're not. But some of them are really good, And I come down to this. If it's a big monkey, hunting season's going on right now in the American South.
Yes.
Every damn redneck out there would have a head mounted over.
I would add it to my collection of deceased
there's something weirder going on out here than what we all know. Mr. James, member for a month. Thank you, sir. Yeah, actually, James was a member before that. He re-signed up. Joe and Jesse, or Jesse and Joe, I always get second billing, are awesome people. So
you are number 2 on that podcast. So I don't know.
Only number 2.
I think you need to kind of step your game up a little bit. You've been doing okay today. I just want you to know that you're doing a great
doing our job. So, holy hell, I'm like an hour behind in the chat.
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you, do the marks.
Let me go down. Well, I've already done all the marks.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You need to scroll up, kid.
Scroll up.
There's all kinds of stuff in there that you are just glossing over. Gems.
Terry's got a good one. Why would creatures in the woods yell and scream because Jesse is doing an SG session? Here's one for you. Why do we have targeted equipment malfunctions sometimes that other equipment works fine? How the hell is that even possible? How does something look?
Some equipment that works on the same mechanisms, it's the same type of equipment,
All right, so I'm a Bigfoot. I have been born in the woods. My family always told me to stay hidden from these weird people that come into the woods sometimes. Told me to stay hidden. I have seen one of these weird creatures come into the woods, and it had a long stick thing that it held up to its shoulder, and it made a noise, and a deer dropped down dead. So I know that when these things are in the woods and they're holding these weird sticks, I've got to stay hidden. That can kill me at a distance. I don't understand how it works, but I've seen cause and effect, and I understand that because I'm intelligent, and I know that the biggest rule for my people is to avoid these other things that come in that don't have hair all over them. I got to avoid them no matter what. Okay. What the hell does that have to do with our cameras being malfunctioned? Even if they have the ability to do something like that, they've got some weird, I don't know, like weird organ that's akin to almost like an electric eel that can generate electromagnetism. How the hell do they know what a camera does? How have they seen the cause and effect for a camera? How have they known they hold these little boxes up and then they can get video of me? And then they take the video back and they show others of their kind, and then more of them come out looking for me.
Although I would love if a Bigfoot would help me in the editing bay.
That would be pretty dope. But how can you see a cause? How the hell would you know that? What the hell? You're dealing with something. And why would an Estes session have an effect on that? Why is it that a lot of times when we do these Estes sessions, the woods go crazy around us and you start hearing all of this stuff you weren't hearing before, man? What is it about that that's causing that stuff to go on like that? I don't know, man. So somebody had asked, let me see if I can find it. What would we do? What?
Jeremiah's on here. Metallo, I guess metal skeleton dude in the background is real legit. He's actually wearing Oddfellow's ceremonial helmet and has a saber as well. Carry on.
Somebody had asked what we would do if we showed up and one of our
it was closed down by like a government agency.
and the authority. What could we do? We'd tell you all about it, and that's all we could do. I mean, we've got that one area in Blackthorn that's like closed off. That there's cameras in there, man. You know, there's power running in there. It's closed off. I mean, we're really good at what we do, which is go out and try to document like weird stuff.
Major glitching here. Everybody's having a lot. Live is really glitching.
It's always when we talk about this stuff.
Video frozen, audio okay.
Just like when we go and do.
It was right when we were Wendigo talking.
It's whenever we do presentations on this stuff. The people they're talking about Bigfoot migration patterns, and we call them boogers, and you know that like normal Bigfoot talk doesn't have a problem.
We've never had a successful. Have we ever had a successful presentation?
We've never had a successful presentation.
Because it's something always goes wrong.
And those of you who are in the chat right now that have seen us at these things know that the person before us gives a presentation, everything's fine. Person after us gives a presentation, everything's fine. We're the ones that have weird electrical issues that they just look at us and they just go, we don't know what the hell's going on here. So
Jerry's got one. Wild ass theory. What if some force out there was created or was creating whatever people think of or fear off the deep end of wild ass theories? Twas the wild ass theory that killed the beast.
What the hell? So yeah, pork chop is
lots of problems with the feed.
No glitches now. So weird.
We're about to wrap it up.
It's
about spaghetti time.
So it is about spaghetti time. William Kennedy in here speaking some truth. So I don't know, man. So if anybody has had the thing about
what is going on with the whistles thing? I heard the whistle very loud.
What whistle?
Are you guys hearing whistles? I'm just now getting here. There's whistling going on or screeching. We got some problems.
I'm not seeing that. Now there are solar storms. Maybe it's that.
Heard one loud whistle 5 minutes ago on here. They're hearing loud whistling.
That's weird. My computer is glitching right now. Listen, here's the deal though. Maybe it's a solar activity that's going on. I don't know. But I
love that this is. But if we had like a conversation about VW Beetles tonight, would this happen? I don't know. You don't know. You can't go back in time. We can't have that VW Beetle conversation.
Yeah.
But it's awful strange that Hitchhiker effect, after we've had all of this electronic interference, then we try to do this show, and this is what's occurring, that whistling has never occurred on here.
Yeah.
Some glitching, yes, but not whistling. That's freaking bizarre.
Kaiju Ninja, have you guys ever been approached by someone who may be part of the government while at a conference or researching in areas of known activity? No, not really. Not that unless they were doing a damn good job and they just seemed like a random weirdo at a conference. But we've never really had like the men in. We have had an interaction with people that it was weird, but it wasn't like government people. I don't know. I know that some people report having that happen. Like the men in black come and hassle them and like scare them off an area and stuff like that. No, nothing
screeching whistles. What is going on?
I did have some files disappear off of an SD card and 2 computers and everything. Like I had redundancy for them and they all went missing. But you know what? I'm also an idiot sometimes, so I can't swear that wasn't just, it doesn't seem likely, but yeah, nothing like that, man. I mean, we're not that important in the grand scheme of things. I think if stuff like that is going on, I don't think they would be hassling with small potatoes like us.
So a portion of the audience has heard the whistling and a portion has not.
Weird.
Very odd. Very odd. We'll see. I wonder if it's going to be on the playback.
Yeah.
You know,
some whistles, some no whistles.
Interesting.
Marcus Aurelius, is there a possibility that the membrane between our dimensions and others allowing entities to enter our world may be a thing? I stand by that. I think that I don't care what the prevailing scientific theory is. It just seems right to me that we've been living alongside other things like since people have been here. And sometimes, and if you look at it like that, that a lot of this stuff comes from somewhere else, and it comes from somewhere else, and then it's here for a little while, it does its thing, and then it moves on. That explains why don't we have bodies? Why isn't there more like scat and physical it's just not here long enough for anything like that.
Yeah.
That's why we see roadside crossings, because it's bamf here, does this, bamf, it's gone. Okay. It's just not here that long. It comes here and it interacts with us sometimes. Sometimes it even messes with us. Sometimes it might even predate upon us. But if that's happening, it's got to be intelligently controlled. Like I've said before, you don't see these things just appear in Times Square at 3 p.m. on a Friday, look around like what the hell's going on, and run 20 feet and then disappear again. It's targeted. It only ever seems to, and other people have noticed that. John Keel talked about that. Most UFO and high strangeness activity seem to happen in more rural, lightly populated areas between the hours of like, middle of the night, that witching hour, 3 a.m., when fewer people were around to see it. It wants an audience. It just doesn't want that big of an audience sometimes.
Yeah.
So
the Honorable Scribe has entered. Thank you for your service on this Veterans Day, Honorable Scribe. Full of free
indeed.
food.
So anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
We got something to plug here. You got the thing for it. There
Yes,
are
sir.
a couple of tickets left for that Tennessee camp out.
There are only a few left.
There's only a few.
I got the number earlier.
And there is a
For the Tennessee Cryptid camp out in April. That is the link to buy tickets.
We will not be this weird there.
We're going to be weirder.
We'll be on point there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be on point. You're catching us right now
Not
after a period of confusion where we're basically just kind of lamenting here, and we're looking for ideas. What other ideas do people have? Because I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't ever know what the hell's going on here, but especially now.
You sound like you're having an existential crisis.
It's
right
weird,
now.
Man. It's weird. And it's one of these things where you if you're involved in stuff, yeah, you have moments where you just go, what the hell am I doing? None of this makes sense. You start to think you see a pattern on stuff, and then something happens where you're just back to square one. None of it makes sense, man. I mean, none of it makes sense. That's why I get frustrated with people that are just so
set in their ways on it.
They're so set in their ways, and they've got to be so
Dying on
dogmatic, and it's this way, and everybody else is stupid who doesn't believe this. How the hell do you know that? And I don't care what you think Bigfoot is. How do you know that?
They're dying on hills when we're in the Great Plains, bro.
Exactly. So anyway, if you're thinking of you want to do the camp out, grab a ticket now. There's only a few left.
Yeah, I messaged Randy at the start of the show. There were only a few left. It's a hell of a price for a hell of a show. A hell of a good time. Make sure you grab your ticket if you guys are interested, because they are going to sell out.
If you like that sort of thing. If you like that sort of thing, this is going to be a good one to do.
Yes.
But
if you hate that sort of thing, please don't buy a ticket.
If you guys have ever, if you hate that sort of thing,
what the hell,
don't
Joe?
Inflict your misery on us, for God's sake.
I don't think anybody's coming.
I hate these things, but you told me to buy a ticket. I'm here.
How dare you?
How dare you?
So, all right. Thank you for putting up with our glitches, screeches, weeches. Happy Veterans Day.
Yep. Buy a ticket to the camp out. We will be up. Pyromedic, another one of our ballers, our fine holler ballers, executive producer to Hellbent Holler. I'll leave a timestamp after the show of the whistle that I heard. And other people don't hear whistles. So I don't know.
Some say they were screeches. Some say they were whistles. I was being told different times by different people.
But here's the deal. There's a lot of solar activity. Death Wish was messaging me before we got on here that there's a lot of really crazy solar storm stuff going on. It could have a very prosaic explanation. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. All right, guys, it's spaghetti time.
It is spaghetti time
for the Doyle household. I want to thank you all for joining us here on Hellbent Live.
Next week, we're going to be more organized. We're not going to be as baffled. We came to you tonight in a level of confusion. So,
Joe's just here to lie to you. That's what it is with that.
So,
you think we're going to be more organized and less crazy?
Yeah, that's probably asking for too much.
Yes, for a miracle. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope we gave you a little food for thought. Let us know. Have you ever experienced the hitchhiker effect? If you do paranormal investigations or cryptid investigations, or if you had an experience out in the woods or out in the world, did something happen after? Did something follow you home? Let us know in the comments, and let's kind of gauge this. How common is this phenomenon? Oh, it is furry, it's fuzzy as hey yo. All right.
My eye is hurting. Somebody asked if I'm getting my eye is hurting.
Paranormal pink eye. Okay, guys, we're out of here. Let us know in the comments what you think. Hit that like button on the way out. Make sure you are subscribed. Share this with your friends, your family, and your enemies. Thank you very much for joining us here on Hellbent Live. Jesse Hill sign off. Joseph Doyle, Existential Crisis. Good night. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Bunk.